Hi, this is Jared Dees from thereligiontutor.com. Let's look at this important story of the sacrifice or almost sacrifice of Isaac in the Old Testament book of Genesis, chapter 22. Now, it's a story that shows, once again, the key virtue of Abraham in the Old Testament, which is faith. That Abraham is constantly showing us the supreme example of faith in almost everything that he does in the book of Genesis, in the Old Testament. And so Abraham has a son, Isaac, finally, after being promised for a very long time by God that he was going to have this son. And Isaac is beloved. It's the most important person to him in his life. It's the most important thing in his entire life. And what does God ask him to do? He says to go to a mountain and sacrifice your son, Isaac. Now, it's an incredible question. It's an incredible request, right? Because Isaac is the most important person in his life. This promise that God has made, now God is saying he's going to take him away. And it's a test, and Abraham passes the test. He takes his son Isaac to be sacrificed, and an angel is sent to stop him from doing it, and he sacrifices a ram instead. So what does this story teach us? What does the story tell us about our own lives? It's to be that example of faith, right? That God has to be number one in our lives, no matter what. And if we put God first, if we put God as number one, that means we have to trust God. Faith is an act of trust in the Lord. When we put God first in our lives, nothing else comes before him, then God is going to take care of us. We're going to follow those promises and have faith in him. The story is also important because it gives a little foreshadowing to the New Testament, right? That it's kind of a shocking story that a father would sacrifice his son. But what does God, the Father, do in the New Testament with the Son, Jesus Christ? He gave his only begotten Son so that we might have life. Jesus is foreshadowed in this sacrifice of Isaac because Jesus is going to be sacrificed for us. And Jesus follows in this story and that act of faith and trust in the Father. And as a result, God saves us from our sins through that sacrifice of his only beloved Son. So it's an important story in the Old Testament, both in itself, but also as foreshadowing as a precursor to Jesus' sacrifice in the New Testament. Go make disciples. God bless.